Welcome to FDS MTG News Tonight for Wednesday, April 26th, 2023. I apologize for being a little late. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I just did this entire show to nobody. Yes, I basically thought I was streaming, and I actually didn't click the go live button, so we're off to a great start here. All right. So yeah, you all thought I was burned out and was slacking and skipping the past couple weeks and not posting any FDS MTG news. Well, guess what? You were right. So I spent the last few weeks figuring out how to keep FDS MTG news alive by making it live. I also plan to edit it down and post it as a regular video and maybe some shorts. And the whole thing will be featured as a podcast too, so there's that. And don't you worry, bloopers are still going to be a part of the show now, and as you can already see, you won't have to wait until the end. I'll still put them at the end of the edited versions, because I'm generous like that. Anyways, I'm my own producer here, so I have to, do the thing. To the news! March of the Machine Aftermath has been leaked. Like, all of it. The MTG content creator Old School MTG posted a video last week saying that they ordered a case of March of the Machine collector boosters from a friend, and when the product arrived, it was actually a case of March of the Machine Aftermath. So he did what any red-blooded MTG content creator, with little regard to their standing with the mothership, would do, and recorded opening the boxes and posted them to YouTube. And despite acting like this was all a big whoopsie and they were blameless, he was sure to spread out the box openings over a few videos to make sure he would get those sweet, sweet views. The videos have now been taken down, and apparently the product has been confiscated by Wizards. How does Wizards have the ability to do this, you ask? It's easy. They sent the Pinkerton agents to the guy's door and confiscated the cards and threatened legal action if he didn't give them up and take down the video. Like you do. And if you just said, the Pinkertons still exist? Yeah, they do. And if you don't know who the Pinkertons are, you only have to look as far as history to find they have a bloody reputation. Throughout history, they have been employed by many organizations to be hired muscle. One of the more famous examples, for history nerds anyway, is the Homestead Strike of 1892 just outside of Pittsburgh, PA. Andrew Carnegie and Howard Frick sent a bunch of Pinkertons to break up the strike, and a literal battle ensued, with both sides having fatalities. And to commemorate the event, they built a railroad bridge and named it Pinkerton Landing Bridge, which seems weird to me, but what do I know? Old School MTG did state in their video explaining what happened when the Pinkertons came to their door that Wizards was apologetic at how aggressive the investigators were and vowed to send him product. The collector booster boxes of regular old March of the Machine that he allegedly intended to purchase in the first place. When questioned, Wizards responded to Polygon saying that sending the Pinkertons was a part of the investigation. And as many would expect, when you send the bad guys of Red Dead Redemption 2 after a small content creator, the backlash will be massive and swift. Many tweets and articles decried the move as a massive overreaction. In the aftermath of the backlash, Wizards responded to Polygon with a larger statement saying, "We repeatedly attempted to contact an individual who had received unreleased cards. After that outreach was unsuccessful, an investigator visited him and asked that he reach out to us as a part of our investigation and return the embargoed product and packaging." Since then, Old School MTG has posted yet another video, now claiming that the Pinkertons harassed his neighbors. I'm looking forward to the inevitable update we will get next week where we find out the Pinkertons stole his lunch money and pooped on his lawn. That story went in unexpected directions, so much so I forgot to finish reporting on the leak itself. Before the leaked videos were taken down, some industrious individuals went ahead and took screen grabs of each card and stitched them together so we can see them in their full glory. You see, in the original video, Old School MTG didn't really put down the cards at any point, so they were being held, so thumbs were in the way. Hence the need to stitch the images together. But apparently most of the cards have at least 2 or 3 frames, which is annoying, I'll be honest. Sticking with my policy of not revealing them here, if you're interested, I'll link the Reddit thread in the description. of the VOD of this stream. Old School MTG did implore folks to take down any screen grabs they have taken or used in videos to avoid the wrath of WotC. But I think the genie is out of the bottle now, and the cost of trying to pull all of that down when spoiler season would have started in a few weeks anyway is probably too much for WotC to bear at this point. Plus, the PR wouldn't be great, considering what they're dealing with right now. Please note this isn't legal advice, and I have no idea what WotC will do, and if you have content that has the leaked cards out there on the internet somewhere, don't make a decision on what I say. Because, based on what I say, I mean, I'm just a guy who spends way too much time thinking about cardboard with pretty pictures on them. Speaking of pretty pictures, the new Secret Lair Spring 2023 Super Drop is here, and there already is another glaring mistake. No, it's not Goblin Dong this time. This time, Wizards accidentally used an in-progress piece of art for Seraph Sanctuary. And no, not just on the website. The cards have been printed with the incorrect art. I know Secret Lairs are supposed to be print to demand, but apparently they are too far along in the printing process to make a change at this point, and this will affect both foil and non-foil versions. This specifically is affecting the artist series Elena Danner, and the art being shown on the website and printed on the card is an early in-progress version of that art that should not have been used. And to be fair, the change isn't drastically different, and from a distance, you might not notice unless they were side by side. But this is still a pretty big whoopsie. They have stated that they will be reprinting the cards with the correct art, including it as a surprise extra card for future Secret Lairs. They also said that they will be giving the artist Elena Danner foil and non-foil copies of the card with the finished art to be passed out at future MTG events. As the last story noted, the Spring Super Drop is here. There are some fun card drops in this one, and I encourage you to check them out. You have until late June to get these cards. By my count, it's around June 25th or 26th, but they use a countdown timer, and I suck at math, so don't take my word for it, and buy any that you think you will like as soon as you can. More Command Fests are coming! In an article posted on the Magic website on April 25th, Wizards announced that there will be more Command Fests in June and July. On the weekend of June 16th through the 18th, there will be an event in Orlando, Florida, Anaheim, California, Indianapolis, Indiana, Baltimore, Maryland, and Edmonton, Alberta. June 23rd through the 25th events will be held in Frankfurt, Germany, London, England, and Annecy, France. Forgive my pronunciation. I flunked high school French. On July 1st and 2nd, there will be an event in Beijing, China. July 8th, we'll have an event in Osaka, Japan. July 15th through the 16th, Mexico City and Melbourne, Australia. And forgive me, I'm skipping a bad joke that was too long and didn't work well in my dress rehearsal. And finally, on June 22nd and 23rd, there will be an event in Sao Paulo, Brazil. This Week in Magic is now a time for me to talk about what was revealed on the weekly MTG stream this week, if it hasn't already been covered in what I said before. And basically this week they mostly talked about the Secret Lair that I just mentioned, and they also talked about the MTG Story Podcast, which is a show they go in-depth on the story and lore of Magic the Gathering. If you're a Vorthos, I highly encourage you to check it out. And that's about it. Also, the set Dominaria released this week, back in 2018. So that's fun. Yeah. Alrighty, so you know what else is fun? This part, where I throw it to the chat to give me any news stories or discuss anything that I didn't cover. And I, cover it right now, as we sit. Oh, it was actually the moment that I wasn't streaming. Yeah, that whole thing was caught. It was caught. It wasn't caught in the stream, but it was caught in recording. So yeah. Oh yeah, that's going to be included. Oh yeah, and definitely I wanted to drop in that big story right up front because that was a big one. Yes, live FDS news. Yeah, I'm doing it live now. Though this part is a little loosey-goosey because I have, I'm trying to expand it out. As you can see here, the doing FDS news, it's like 10 minutes. It's like, okay, I'm done. But oh man, a plane from the battles you would. I want Segovia. I know Segovia is ridiculous because it's a tiny plane, but I would love for them to go to Segovia. I think it would be awesome for that. I also like Olgrotha again, just because I have a soft spot in my heart for Homelands, even though it almost ruined the game. That's one I wish. One question I got couple of times going back to the first story, people were asking me if I would have done the box break if I had gotten Aftermath, and I'm going to be completely honest. No, I wouldn't have done that, because not that I expected Pinkertons. Like I didn't expect, nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Nobody expects Pinkertons, but yeah, I definitely would not have done that, just because I want to keep doing this, and I don't want. I would like to get a spoiler card at some point. So apparently, old school MTG decided to throw that chance out the window. What are your thoughts on the? Okay, imagine the large and Phyrexian Lee. Yeah, that would be funny. Just a large Phyrexian thing. The story. Oh God. So basically my take on it is a lot of the critique I agree with. I agree with a lot of the critique where they spent literally years building this up. One could even argue decades building up this storyline of the Phyrexians, and oh my God, they're this big boogeyman in the corner that is going to come out of the closet at any point and end everything. And then it was rushed. It was just like the last thing was just a mad dash to the finish line. That being said, while I didn't like the mad dash, I did like the way they did it. I just wish they had taken more time with it. Because I actually really liked the idea that the reason, and I know a lot of people didn't like this idea, but I liked it, that the reason that they were defeated was because in previous, like all before, it was they were always lurking in the shadows and they were always working from the background. And then when Elish Norn is like, okay, we're just going to attack everywhere, it would spread them too thin, and it would leave them open to being defeated. In fact, if anything, I think the fact that they were as successful as they were was probably a little unbelievable, because, in my opinion, I guess. But yeah, I liked that concept. I just wish it wasn't like, okay, Atraxa at New Capenna. Oh, she's going to be really... Oh, she's dead. Like, that was... I didn't care for that. So, yeah. That's my take on the story. I think they could have done better. I think they've been doing better. They definitely handled this better than the War of the Spark situation. But I just hope they keep getting better and better. Yeah, I'm very interested to see what they're going to do with the desparked walkers. Spoilers. Because Nissa makes sense. Karn makes sense because that was explained in the story. But I'm going to be very interested to see what they do that. Hey, Max. How you doing? It's great to see you here. Yeah, I think the problem... I think a big problem with the Phyrexians is the fact that, or I should say, their handling of the Phyrexians. They know a lot of people don't like the Phyrexians. In fact, Mark Rosewater has stated multiple times that they're aware that because of the nature of the Phyrexians and how they're body horror and they're really kind of they're not everybody's cup of tea. They recognize that, so they try not to focus on them for too long. So that's why they were like, okay, we're going to make Phyrexia All Will Be One, the Phyrexia set, and then we'll add, well, March of the Machine, I guess, kind of has, but it's their defeat. So that was really only the major Phyrexian stuff that we got. Everything else was like kind of Phyrexia in the background for the most part. But I think for a story like this, you just got to go in. You just got to deal with the fact that, like, we were all expecting the entire past year to just be Phyrexian body horror, and we really only got it for the last couple months. So I think they should have just leaned into our expectations and had Dominaria United and Brothers War just be all to further flesh out the story. We spent so much time on them figuring out how they're going to defeat them, and then that not coming to fruition by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, so I think they could have done it better. Yeah, well, that was the other thing. Sorry, I was reading DM Dingo. Plus, what happened to the rest of Capenna that the Phyrexians already had. That, yeah, like I think they're leaning really hard on the antenna, which that kills me. That I gotta say that's part of the story that I'm like, really, really, folks, this is what we did. Where they basically were like, oh, because now New Phyrexia is off beyond time and the blind eternities, the signal has broken. Apparently Elish Norn uses AT&T, and we can't, like, all the Phyrexians just kind of go, it just, that's ridiculous. The oil has lost signal. Yeah, people who don't like a bunch of teeth. Mondrake, oh my god, a buddy of mine loves Mondrake, and what was hilarious was he didn't look, like, loves the card because the card's good, but also like the art, but completely misconstrued what the art was and didn't look deep into it and see that it was basically just a bunch of mouths with teeth. The look on his face when he, like, went in deep and looked at it was like, oh, it's great. Okay, let's see. A bunch of what size of Ultimate Guard Archive do you recommend for 540 cube? I would say probably 800 plus would be good for that. Maybe OmniHive. Yeah, I would do an Archive 800 plus, maybe an OmniHive. Depends on how much extra stuff you want to add into it. Like, yeah, because 800 plus holds 800 double sleeve cards, so definitely it would fit the 540. And Land Station. Yeah, probably fit the Land Station. So yeah, 800 is what I would recommend. My thoughts on the loader set. I am unreasonably excited for it. I'll admit, I'm one of those folks that from the beginning I loved the idea of Universes Beyond. I'll admit I didn't like The Walking Dead one because I thought that was too far afield at first. But ever since then, they've done a good job at pulling back and doing, because, like, if you look at it, they're easing us into it now. Like, they started off with the first real big Universes Beyond thing they did was Warhammer 40K, which that Venn diagram of Magic and Warhammer 40K is fairly overlapped. Like, geez, I have a pile of shame over there of things that I really need to get painting. So, that's easing us into, like, oh, okay, that's another thing I like. So, okay, mixing that. And then with Lord of the Rings, that's another Venn diagram where a lot of people are crossed over. So I'm really excited for it. Like I said, I really love the Universes Beyond idea. So yeah, I'm and I like what I've seen so far. I think the art is great. I like the concept of getting multiple character cards. So, like, we're going to get a Gandalf the Grey, Gandalf the White, I think that's all going to be very interesting and fun. Yeah, I really can't wait for that. Crazy how broad. Yeah, that actually brings up the point of the going back to the Phyrexian story. they spent so much time on that Silex, and then it was just like, yeah, okay, it was the vehicle to angelify Elspeth, but like, I don't know, that just I don't know, it that fell flat to me. It just that was a ton of buildup. Like, at least with, like, and the obvious comparison is Infinity War, like the Avengers stuff. Um, at least in those, that like the build up, like what they were building up was integral in a more obvious way. So yeah, I don't know. My favorite format to play, probably draft. I'm really loving draft recently. All Will Be One was fantastic. March of the Machine has been interesting. I almost won draft last week, which is the first time in a really long time that's happened. So I'm a little biased. Probably not going to happen again. But I'm really liking draft. Though I'm actually going to start up a dual commander league. I'm going to join a dual commander league. I'm not going to start one myself, but I'm joining one. My local game store is doing one, and that looks like a lot of fun. Like, I'm really excited. I built an Ishin deck. And yeah, that's I like that. And it's hard. It's like, I could like, I'll just sit here and list off all the formats I love to play. Like, I love it. Hold so much, but I got cube majigs. Oh, okay. So you're also doing the cube majigs. Then I would definitely do the Omni Hive. That's probably going to get you more closer to what you need. Is do the Omni Hive. I know it's a little expensive, but that's what I would recommend if you want to go with Ultimate Guard. Do the Omni Hive on that one. Painting stream prep. Yes, actually, I've seriously considered. In fact, when I moved into this office, I set up a thing to put a camera so I could record, because I had originally at that time thought about starting up a mini painting channel, but then I remembered that time is a thing that I don't have enough of. So, in fact, I said I was going to launch this Lorcana channel, and technically it's launched, but oh my God, it's like, I keep making, in fact, I have like 3 or 4 Lorcana videos that I haven't released yet, just because I don't have time to like edit them and get them ready and everything. So yeah, it'll happen. It'll happen eventually once I throw off the chains of corporate America. Crossover, I'd love to see. Proper Cyberpunk, yeah, I think proper Cyberpunk would be really fun. Like, just like a property that really, like, not just Kamigawa, like something that's really in that space. I think that'd be really cool. I'd like to see, like, just off the top of my head, I'd just like to see like maybe a Mad Max one. That would be fun. Kind of a dystopian future kind of thing. I think that'd be cool. And then, the obvious, like, I've ever since I was a kid, I wanted to play Spider-Man and on my Magic cards. And of course, that's probably not going to happen because of Lorcana. But maybe Batman or something like that. Like, the obvious answers there. But yeah, I think Mad Max would be a fun one. I think that'd be a really fun one. Yeah, the artwork for the loader stuff is amazing. Like, especially that, I don't know if you've seen it, the one where it'll make a gigantic mural like across all the cards. It just, it's like, you can tell they went all out. They know that this set is gonna, and especially with the One Ring, the lottery card, that's gonna be bananas. Yeah, the March of the Machine draft has been really interesting to me. I did a lot of when I was at Command Fest Richmond, I did a lot of pre-releases while I was there. And that was a lot of fun, but the draft is a different beast, and it's the March of the Machine draft is great. Oh, how many decks? How may I count the ways? Okay, so yeah, I could literally sit here and start counting. Of course, I just moved all my cards over there, so I can't see them from my desk. I have at least 7 commander decks put together. I have 3 pauper decks. 2 Pioneer decks, 2 Modern decks. I don't have any standard decks. I have over there. In fact, this is going to be fun. I have 10 Unfinity constructed decks that I'm going to be doing a video for soon. Yeah, I have many many decks, and so many more in the works. Like I know the professor put out that Thrun deck tech a couple of weeks ago, and I just fell in love with it. In fact, my wife, she didn't even realize she went on a trip, and when she came back, she got me sleeves. And she got me Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle sleeves, and that's going on the Thrun deck. It just, even though they're probably not great sleeves, because they're promotional ones, but yeah, that's going on the Thrun deck because big old turtle getting the turtle sleeves. Yeah, the least you can pack, the better. Yeah. Yeah, that's the way, that's kind of the way I'm doing it with my daughter, is with the art. Like I've told this story. I told this story on Twitter. A couple of weeks ago, we were at the game store and I asked her, what you want to get, and I thought she was just going to get some dice, and she said, I want to get a commander deck, and I was like, okay, like try not to act too excited. And she picked one, and it was great. But what was funny was she asked me to build her a deck, and I said, what kind of deck do you want me to build you? And she said, I want a deck with pretty women who do violence. And I was like, okay. So that's what I made her. Battle Angels, Boros. So yeah, it's through the art is really the way I've done it. That's actually how I got into it, was through the art. When I was a kid, I just really loved the fantasy art of it, and it just sucked me right in. In fact, I didn't learn how to properly play this game for the first probably 15 years it existed. Like I have the stories of having the massive decks and everything, but even then, like, I didn't learn that, playing your creature's second main was a good idea until, much later than I should have. Yeah. Oh God, the Mad Max vehicles that witness me. Oh, that'd be great. I love it. Yeah, yeah, the modern meta has severely has driven away, like, well, we all know it's been driven away a lot of folks. In fact, my LGS, our modern nights used to be massive. We would have like 50 people come in for modern weekly, and that's just dwindling. And now we have more Pioneer, like Pioneer's getting a bigger and bigger crowd just because of how warped it's been. I like, basically what I would say is try, like, it's hard for me because I know some people go into it for the competitive side, or they go into it because they like a specific format and that's what they like. And I like so many facets of this game that typically what I do is I shift to a different thing. Like if I get bored of building decks, then I shift to finding a deck in a particular format that I can just get a list, build the deck, and then just go play. And then I focus on playing and try to win, or I focus on draft or sealed or whatever. I just kind of shift up what I'm doing. And that's what I would recommend, is if you can, if there's another aspect, another format that you might be interested in, or look into a format that maybe you haven't tried, like Pauper. Like I started building, like I hit a point where I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm, want to stick with doing, Commander at that point. Like, obviously I'm going to stick with doing Commander forever, but at the time I was just kind of getting a little bored of it. And so I decided, well, let me try some Pauper decks. And, oh, this is really cheap to make a Pauper deck. This Pauper deck will only cost $10. And then I ended up making like 7 Pauper decks. And then, like, I've dismantled some of them since, but yeah, so I ended up making Pauper just as expensive by going with volume. I should budget myself to spending, but I don't. The problem is that I'm really into Magic, obviously, and my wife is really into books, and so she goes out and buys a bunch of books, and then comes home, and then I go out and buy a bunch of Magic cards, and we just kind of like we both feed our addictions by allowing the other one to do the same. Shouldn't do that. We absolutely shouldn't do that. I will say I've learned I've gotten a little better at it because I've been doing draft more. I've been doing a lot more draft. I've been doing a lot more sealed. And also something I've done, and I will be doing a video on this, I'm going to update my collection video. And so y'all are getting a sneak preview. What I used to do is I used to try to get one copy of every card within a set. And I would try to do that over the course of the set being released, and then the next set would come along, and and I would just repeat. The problem is the maintenance on that was just insane, especially with the output that Magic is doing right now. So I pulled back to just doing the rares, and I just decided to just do the rares, and that was that was, I think, smart in my opinion. It made it that I have a lot more room for cards in my binders, and in my space I shipped my bulk off to LGSs and charities and such. But one of the things that does is when you buy a stack of cards like this and you end up putting this many in the bulk box, you stop wanting to buy as many packs. So that's one way I did it, like little psychological tricks you can try, but really playing limited has helped. Is just going with limited has really helped. I hope that answered the question. Yeah. Yep. Just like that. Yeah, for the longest time, I'll admit, I didn't want to go to my LGS because I was worried there was going to be a lot of spikes there. And I only would play with my buddies. The problem was that my buddies were very meta within our meta, and it turned weird. But then I ended up going, and it ended up working out. But yeah, meta folks can be difficult. In fact, at the pre-release at a two-headed giant event, my buddy and I were playing against two folks who were intense. They were intense. I'm sitting there like, it's a pre-release, guys. I think Oathbreaker has legs. That's right. I completely forgot. I have 3 Oathbreaker decks. Yeah, I think it has legs, and the reason why I think it has legs is because it's unlike it wasn't like it's a format that Wizards just created out of whole cloth and said, Oathbreaker. Looking at you, Brawl. Oathbreaker was created around the time of Brawl and has been around since. It's kind of been lurking in the shadows, and it never quite got to the meme of tiny leaders. Like, some people would mention Oathbreaker as like, oh, that's a joke format, but it never got to the level of tiny leaders because there was enough people around to say, no, actually, I like that format. It's actually pretty good. So I do think it has legs. I do think it's going to stick around, especially now that Wizards has given it their, they've blessed it and made it a part of the thing. I think it'll work. And also it helps that it's connected to a charity, so it's not directly connected. It just happens that the people who created Weird Cards, MTG, also created Oathbreaker, and they actually just use Oathbreaker to make the charity more well known. So I think that also gives it a little bit of credence too. So, and I like it. I think it's a lot of fun. Also the fact that it has a rules committee as well, like Commander does, that handles bannings and that sort of thing. I think also helps that it's gonna stick around. So yeah, it's gonna stick around, in my opinion, I think. Oh yeah, sorry. And I'm doing it now. Quick tip: try reading the chat questions out loud shortly when you read them. Reduces silence moments and straightens viewers' interaction. Love seeing you stream. Thank you, Max. Yeah, I'm new at the. I really should say, I'm new at doing streams that people actually watch. I have before when I would stream with my buddies, we we often would have only one or two people in the chat, and they were usually our buddies. So so yeah, running a stream with actual people is new to me. So please forgive my my whoopsies. Every Magic player should be budgeting. Yes, Dank MTG, they should. We don't, but we should. Can you make a setting up for spell table video? That's a good idea. Yes, I can. I will. I'm going to add that to my list. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I will add that to my list. I just realized I will mess up my teleprompter because I need it for the very end. Oh well, I goofed it. Sorry. I'm all over the place. Forgive my ADHD. Just watch your video on camera backpack experience. Any other game-changing accessories you've gotten? For me, it was the Stanley parts box. The Stanley. Sorry, I spaced. Yeah, the Stanley parts box was also pretty game changing for me as well. Yeah, the what was, you know what? Actually, it's not so much a container or like a holder or anything. It's actually infinite tokens. I realized I haven't really talked about them that much on the channel. I've just usually featured them in another video. In fact, I think I'm going to be doing a video solely on infinite tokens. In fact, I just bought they have these little tabs that they did that they're essentially just dry erase tabs. But yeah, infinite tokens, they're essentially tokens, and I don't have any actually that I can. Oh wait, there we go. So yeah, they're essentially just tokens that you just put dry erase on. Like they're just dry erase markers that you can put on these, and you basically make whatever token you need. And I love them. They are fantastic. It really beats having just a stack of pre-made Magic, from Wizards tokens. So much better. And then these are good. These little tabby thingies are good for, if they're like exerted, like going back to Amonkhet, the exerted format where you could exert a card. Speaking of Lorcana, that's what they call tapping in Lorcana, is exerting. It's Magic Light. It really is. But yeah, you can like do status effects on here. You can do all kinds of things. Some people just like to put exile and then just put it on their exile pile, so that way they know it's not their graveyard, it's just exile. Just little things like that. I really like them. They also have little discs. So I really like infinite tokens. I think they're great. But yeah. I use bait and tackle box for bulk dice. Yes, a bait and tackle box. That's actually what I used for the longest time. I used actually one of the inserts as my draft kit, like one of those little inserts that has. Also, some people use them for crafts and stuff. But before that, that was my box. I had a. Oh, it's not. Yeah, I think it's somewhere else. I had a cloth tackle box that I used for my decks, and actually it was perfectly set up to hold boulders, the 80 plus boulders, and that back then I was just doing kitchen table Magic, so I just had all my decks in there, and it was perfect, and it also handled my Dyson tokens and all that. Definitely a hard one would be great for the Dyson counters. I think that'd be really cool. What type of deck box do you usually take with you to cons or LGS? Do you prefer individual deck boxes or ones like the Professor's deck box that was on Kickstarter? Well, I'll be honest, it depends on the day. It kind of depends on it really depends on what I'm trying to do, what I want to do with that, like if I'm going to a buddy's place and we're just going to be playing Magic all night, then I just do boulders. I just grab boulders and they fit, and then I have just another, like one of the boxes will have dice in them, and then that box just stays out for the night, and then I just pull my decks out like this. If I'm going to an LGS to play Modern or to play Pioneer, I usually have a deck, and again, it's over there, but I have something like a Flippin' Tray or a Twin Flippin' Tray, or I use the Academic for when I'm drafting, because it's my draft kit now. I'm still using it as my draft kit. It's great for that. I really like the draft kit, or really like the Academic for the draft kit. But that's usually what I do, is I have depending on, like if I'm going to a specific event, then it's a box that has dice encounters in it, so that way I don't have to worry about pulling anything else out. But when I'm just going to a friend's place and I'm not going to be moving seat to seat and that sort of thing, for cons it's a mix of both. For example, when I went to Command Fest, I had my draft kit with me because it works great for pre-releases, so I was using it for that. But I also had a bunch of these, for my commander decks and my Oathbreaker decks and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a little mix of both. How would I define power level 7? I would say it's there is no definition. It is the every deck is the power level 7. It is the deck. Yeah. Do you have? Oh yes. Oh yeah. Cube Majigs. Yes, I have them all over the place. I feel like I should have my props. They're over there. I ain't gonna get them up, but I have. Yeah, I backed the first Kickstarter, so I've got a package from the first Kickstarter of the original Cube Majigs. I also got a. I also purchased a couple of sets from them after the Kickstarter had launched. And then I backed their second Kickstarter, and I have a Potamajig over there that I'm going to do a review on. In fact, I'm in my... oh, geez, I haven't even released the video yet. I have I'm updating my Jumpstart Battle Box, and I intended to release it, and then the Academic came, and I wanted to do the review on that. And then I wanted to release it after the Academic came, and then I realized, oh no, I'm going to be doing my March of the Machine, let's make a set video. So I keep pushing it back, but there will be a Jumpstart Battle Box update video coming out soon. And I talk a little bit about the Cube Majigs. I don't go too much into them. I am going to be doing a review on the Potamajig and the Cube Majigs that came from there, because I'm going to compare them, the old ones and the new ones. I will be honest, though, it might be a little bit, because I've got a lot of videos on backlog that I have to do. I'm working on a video with MTech Cave, and they're the folks who did the drawers that I really like. I have a couple more drawers that I want to show you, and then also they have some other fun stuff. And and actually, I'm glad that reminds me. They have a new Kickstarter, and oh my God, please check it out. Please check it out. Check out the Kickstarter if you haven't already. It's I think it's called Revolutionizing the Hobby, and I'm going to put it in the chat. I have to put it, must chat. Sorry, you're going to see the side of my big head. Kickstarter. Okay, yes. Okay. Yeah, these... I highly recommend that you check this out. Now, again, they're affiliate of the channel. Be aware of that. They, if you use the affiliate link below, you get 5% off, and it helps the channel out. No extra cost to you, but I need you to know that this Kickstarter doesn't help me in any way. I will be doing a video on it, but whether this funds or not doesn't affect me. But I do want you all to check this out. Okay. Yeah, this is MTech Cave's new Kickstarter. It's essentially It's called Revolutionize Your Hobby Grid Modular Workspace. Now, he started off with just doing mini painting stuff, which, you know, a lot of people have done. He's doing magnet connections, which are pretty cool. But then he started making things for TCGs. He has stuff for Legos. Check it out. It's really cool. You can do like add-ons and stuff. I'm sure he's going to put the stuff on his website. So if some of the stuff seems too expensive, you can just kind of slowly build up on it. I'm doing a video for that. In fact, I'm building a new table for the video. And yeah, I'm building a table, folks. This is, I'm pulling out all the stops. Can you do a review of the Cubemajigs? Yes, I will do. I will do the review of the Cubemajigs. Question for you, FDS in the chat. What would you say was the best set Wizards made for Magic, and why? Oh, that's a hard one. That is a hard one. I would say, oh, geez, I'm not sure. Part of me wants to say that, part of me wants to say Dominaria, like the original, like the one that came out in 2018. That was a really good draft experience. That had a lot of fun cards. It's hard because like you could say like, well, the most powerful, you know, that, you know, you could just say, well, that's alpha, you know. That's kind of the easy answer, but yeah, I'd say Innistrad's up there. The first Ravnica City of Guilds is up there. Oh geez, that's a hard one. That's a hard one. What card holds a special place in your heart? For me, it's Wormcoil Engine. Yes, I love Wormcoil Engine. I opened one in the first fat pack I bought. I would say the card with a special place in my heart. There's there's the funny one. Is Elvish Farmer. When I first got into Magic, one of the first decks that I built by myself was a Thalid deck, and it revolved around Elvish Farmer, and it was just silly, stupid. So I always loved it. And then when I found out Elvish Farmer is on the reserved list, it just was like, that one, Emrakul, the Eon's Torn was one of the first, like when I pulled that, it was one of the, it wasn't the first mythic I pulled by any stretch, but it was the first mythic I remember pulling that I was like, oh my God, what is this? You know? And then there's the one that is like this card is probably going to get buried with me is, I have a Masterpiece Soul Ring, and the reason, and it is worth more to me than the money that it's worth, because I received it as a Father's Day present. It was the first Father's Day after we had moved into this house, and my wife couldn't, like, at the time we really couldn't afford anything too flashy for Father's Day. So she just got me a couple of packs of Kaladesh. I believe it was in Kaladesh. And I opened the booster pack, and this was on it was earlier in the day. I opened the booster pack. I go through the cards, and I think I can't remember what the rare was, but the rare was like not a great rare. It was just an okay rare. And I just set the pack down. I didn't even look at it, and I walked away. And later that night, I came back, and I went back through it, and I saw a shiny, and it was the Soul Ring. And the kids had already gone to bed, so I was running around this basement, like literally running around this basement, like hooping and hollering at a very quiet level. And I ran upstairs and I showed my wife, and she was like, "Oh, are you going to sell it?" I was like, "No." So that's mine. Neo is a good set. Neo is a really good set. Yeah, best set. I like Neo. The promo trailer makes me really want an MTG anime. You want to talk about, oh my God, when they put that trailer out and I want an anime of that. I want an anime of the Neon Dynasty thing. And I'm going to be very clear. I'm one of those folks. I actually am not a fan of anime. I've never really cared for it, but this drew me right in. So that might convert me. I have a buddy who's really into anime, and I sent it to him, and he was like, "That's nice." And I'm like, "Dude, this might convert me." You know. FDS, can you do a behind the scenes of FDS, like your setup, which programs you use for editing, lighting, scripting? Sure, if y'all are interested, I would love to. I like doing that kind of stuff. I'm always torn, especially because I'm still small and I'm still growing, and I don't know what y'all would be interested in. Like so yeah, I'll definitely think about doing that. Chris, probably Homelands. Yeah, I like Homelands too. That set has a special place in my heart too. Homelands does, because it made and makes every set feel better. That's a great reason. So yeah, Homelands lowers the bar for everything else. I love that. Bro, same. I fell out with anime, but whatever that was, I want. Yes. I just really want that anime. And also, I was really disappointed because they did that soundtrack for Kamigawa, and I'll be honest, it kind of set my expectations a little bit for them to do the same with Streets of New Capenna. I was hoping that they were going to do like a, maybe a swing or a something, that with Streets of New Capenna, a soundtrack for that. And they didn't. They just, and it just bummed me out. Like I get that they can only do so much, but anyway. Now did I go out and buy the Weave version of the Wandering Emperor? No comment. That no comment for me either. So, all right, folks. I think this is our boy. Our boy OB let us down. Yeah. Did my super chat go through? Thanks for the content. Oh, super chat. Oh, awesome. I did not see. Well, thanks for the content. I've enjoyed your news coverage. Keep up the good work. Thank you, John. I really appreciate that. That is fantastic. I haven't seen it, but that doesn't. I also am new at this, so of the streaming bit, so I don't know. But thank you. But yeah, I think folks, I'm going to, we're at about 10 o'clock. So I should probably wrap this up because I've got to work tomorrow. So thank you so much for watching today. Thank you for joining me on this stream. And be sure to check out my Twitter, TikTok. If you want to support me, you can check out my Patreon. You also can join here on YouTube or what have you. I'm looking forward to bringing more of these streams to you as time goes on. And thank you so much. And you all have a wonderful day. And I'm my own producer, and I'm not on the right thing. Okay.